You want answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended the Shaolin Temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
All right, so Paul Stanford and the crew behind the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act are making a go at the 2014 election cycle. Well, you know, you've heard me say strike while the iron is hot, and I've also said Oregon can win in 2014. But the question is, can OCTA win in 2014 after being soundly defeated in 2012? And sorry, glass half fullers, when you get 47% in Oregon in the year that the two larger states get 55% for legalization, that's a sound defeat. So, is the OCTA brand an electoral poison? Some of the flaws from OCTA 2012 have been corrected, most notably the unlimited personal possession and cultivation parts, which have been reduced to the medical levels. 24 plants and 24 ounces will be considered personal. The Oregon Cannabis Commission is now appointed by the governor rather than voted for by the producers for whom the OCC would be regulating. Previously, 5 of the 7 appointees would have been chosen by the producers, and that majority would have been setting the marijuana prices paid to the producers. But there's still one glaring flaw, at least to me, that remains from 2012. Check out these two parts. Section 4, 474.005, Section 5 says, hemp means the seeds, stems, and stalks of the cannabis plant and all other parts, products, and byproducts of the cannabis plant not containing cannabinoids in concentrations established by the Commission to be psychoactive. Seeds and starts of all varieties of cannabis shall be considered hemp. Sounds good, right? Hemp is non-psychoactive cannabis. Simple, right? But take in that last sentence and combine it with this one, 474.035, Section 1, that said, the Commission's jurisdiction shall extend to any person licensed under this chapter to cultivate, process, or sell cannabis, but shall not extend to any person who manufactures products from hemp. Hemp production for fiber, protein, and oil shall be allowed without regulation, license, nor fee. All right, so let's boil those two down. The Oregon Cannabis Commission can't regulate hemp in any way, like, say, age limits or possession amounts. And all seeds and starts from all varieties of cannabis are hemp. So if I'm reading this correctly, a 12-year-old could legally purchase 1,000 viable psychoactive cannabis seeds, plant them in his backyard, and maintain a garden of 1,000 6-foot-tall, non-flowering psychoactive cannabis plants, and if the cops found it, they couldn't do a thing about it. Because the only definition I find in the OCTA for cannabis refers to the flowering tops and plants that have too great a THC concentration. There is no definition of a start and no definitions of mature or seedling either. Since this act will fully replace and supersede all statutes, it also means medical patients would be freed from that absurd 12-inch plant rule and would go from 6 to 24 mature plants and from 18 to an unlimited number of seeds and starts. But will Oregon voters appreciate those distinctions? Keeping hemp unregulated is not likely to spook many voters, but keeping viable psychoactive cannabis seeds and starts, keeping those unregulated just might spook them a bit. As might the continuing presence of OCTA's 2014 chief petitioner, Paul Stanford. Now, advocates for OCTA 2012 will often lament that if only their measure had the enormous financial resources of the Washington and Colorado campaigns, they too would have emerged victorious on November 6, 2012. Yup, and if only I were 7'2", I might have gotten a basketball scholarship. The number one reason Oregon didn't have those financial resources was the involvement of Paul Stanford. Period. Now, the reasons may be valid or invalid, depending on who you ask, but the result is the same. Big money and national reform orgs will not work with him. Now, to his credit, Stanford poured a huge amount of his own money, estimated to be about $440,000, into the campaign. But most of that was used just to get OCTA up on the ballot, with nothing remaining for campaigning and hundreds of thousands of dollars, potential campaign dollars, wasted on earlier disastrous fundraising ventures. So how's he going to raise the money for signature gatherers and campaigning for an initiative this time around when all the large money donors will not help him, especially in a non-presidential election year? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Make that 2 initiatives. In addition to his latest iteration of OCTA, Stanford is proposing Hemp 2014, which stands for Help End Marijuana Prohibition. Unlike OCTA, which is a statutory initiative, Hemp is a constitutional amendment, which reads in full, Article 1 of the Constitution of the State of Oregon is amended by a vote of the people to include the following new section, to be appropriately enumerated upon approval. Applicability of state laws and penalties to the private personal use, possession, and production of cannabis. Exceptions state may regulate. Except for actions that endanger minors or public safety, neither the criminal offenses and sanctions nor the laws of civil forfeiture of this state shall apply to the private personal use, possession, or production of cannabis, and any products produced therefrom, by adults 21 years of age or older. The state may enact laws and regulations consistent with this amendment to reasonably define, limit, and regulate the use, possession, production, sale, or taxation of cannabis under state law. Well, now this is a very tight and simple amendment that gives the legislature a role in helping to define legal cannabis in Oregon. As an amendment, it will take more signatures to get on the ballot, and it will face tougher scrutiny from the voters. So I'm curious why Stanford would propose both OCTA and hemp in 2014. I mean, OCTA's clearly a damaged brand with a glaring hemp flaw, which will only divert the resources that could better be utilized for getting hemp on the ballot. With 2 initiatives proposed by the same guy, the taint of OCTA is going to get transferred to the superior hemp initiative, and voters might get confused about which is which. And the signature gatherers have to get 2 signatures, and then there's the chance someone may accidentally double sign an initiative. And if he can't afford 1 campaign, why start 2? And then, to add more confusion to this mix, New Approach Oregon, which is a new organization with interest from the big money and national reform groups, is proposing a legislative referral to the voters to legalize marijuana. Now, this is an optimal plan, and it's a political route that's pretty much closed off to Stanford. The legislature would craft a proposal that they could live with politically, and then put it on the ballot for voters. The need for gathering signatures would be moot. All the fundraising and volunteerism would go directly to the campaigning. And the state's largest newspaper, the Oregonian, has already twice called on the legislature to follow this route, even leveraging the chance that Paul Stanford's efforts succeed as motivation for lawmakers to work with New Approach Oregon's Anthony Johnson, calling him by name. However, New Approach Oregon has indicated that should the referral route fail, as it did in the last legislative session, they would attempt to place the initiative on the ballot through signature gathering. So, there could potentially be 3 legalization initiatives in Oregon, one with big money and professional signature gatherers, and 2 others with Paul Stanford's money and volunteer signature gatherers collecting for both at the same time. Oregonians would have to keep track of which of the 3 they've signed so as not to double sign any of them. If you thought the Washington I-502 controversies were fun to watch, wait until the Oregon legalization movement in 2014 is played out in the cannabis community as the longtime grassroots hemp heroes versus the out-of-state big money lawmaker colluding regulators. Leaders will ask people to sign and vote for them all, but certainly everyone involved knows that the one with the most votes wins. Will fans of Stanford longing for unlimited starts and 24 mature plants really also support what will surely be a more restrictive piece of legislation coming out of the legislature? And how soon before the medical marijuana people flinch over these laws fully superseding their beloved Oregon Medical Marijuana Act? How soon before the emergent marijuana dispensary industry rises up to protect their medical monopoly turf? I just wish everyone in Oregon could get on the same page and fight for one realistic legalization proposal that can pass. Marijuana Policy Project had the right idea in that regard, and if it only would have accepted that Oregon reformers weren't going to wait until 2016, there's a good chance most of them would have worked together with MPP. So now it looks like it's survival of the fittest in the one state with two different factions fighting for three different legalizations. Well, on the bright side, we're not California. I'll rant about that fiasco at another time. That's all we got for the Radical Rant today. And with the couple of minutes that we've got left, I just want to remind everyone that we got big changes coming up here on 420 Radio and the Russ Belville Show. Coming up next week, starting Monday, actually September 30th, but I'm calling it the beginning of October. But starting on Monday, September 30th, we welcome the return of Toker Talk Radio. That's right. Thank you. So many of you have complained about the lack of Toker Talk Radio, and yes, Toker Talk Radio will be back next Monday through Friday. We will bring you another hour right after this show of live call-in and just general talking and humor and fun and videos and interviews, kind of free form, starting next week right here on 420radio.org. Also, we welcome the return of A Different View with Jen and Iva and Sharon at sometimes, I understand. But we'll be at a different time, no longer on Tuesday nights. It will be on Sunday afternoons, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. on the East Coast. Women's perspectives on marijuana legalization. You'll check out A Different View. We'll also be welcoming back Canna Truths with Denton Ramsey out of Waco, Texas, deep in the heart of Texas, fighting for legalization with Canna Truths. So glad that he'll be putting new episodes back on the air. We will also be bringing you new episodes of The Viper Hour next Monday night. The Viper Hour returns every Monday night at 8 p.m., and I'm not sure if I'm going to do a movie or we're going to do music. I'm still planning and preparing. We'll see what I can find in the archives since I've moved. Tuesdays at night, we'll be debuting a new show, Herb Thrasher Sports, on Tuesday nights. And it will be a short, half-hour sports show that we'll do on Tuesday nights. I think half hour, maybe longer. We'll talk to Herb about it. We're still in the development process on that one. Wednesday nights will feature Red Eyes Reggae Flashback. If we can get Red Eyes back in the studio, still got to talk to him and solidify that up. Thursday, we'll have new episodes of Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Rink. I believe season 3 is starting up. The Libra Lounge has new content up, as well as Lively Libra transitions from the caterpillar of teaching to the butterfly of activism. And plenty more. We're going to have other shows on. We're going to get Cannabis Nation Radio. Cannabis Network Radio. That's it. Cannabis Network Radio with Dave Kowalski out of Florida. Looking for another show there from a red state. Glad to have that perspective here on 420 Radio. Hey, that's all the time we've got for today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it,